so tired and exhausted.
You know what can help fix that exhaustion? Sulfur. It's so good for your muscles and muscle growth. The atomic number is 16? Whoa, hold on. I'm getting really ahead of myself. Let me get dressed first. All right, let's get into sulfur. All right, let's talk about some sulfur. Now, as I said earlier, its atomic number is 16, which means it has 16 protons right over here. Now, it also has an average atomic mass of 32.06, which means it's total weight in total. Now, not only do the protons count for weight, but also the neutrons. Now, on average, there's 16 neutrons, as you can assume, but there's also different isotopes, which are sulfur 33, sulfur 34, and sulfur 36, which, as you can probably guess, are significantly less common. Now, sulfur also has 16 electrons. However, when bonding, it typically has a 2- charge, which means that it has 2 more electrons than normal. And then with that, obviously, sulfur, big S, right, is the atomic symbol. And if you combine all of these together, makes sulfur. Welcome back. Now, sulfur actually has a low toxicity. Now, this doesn't mean we can go bathe in it. It's still a little bit dangerous, but relatively, it's not as dangerous as other things are. This allows us to use sulfur in everyday lives. One example is sulfuric acid in fertilizer and car batteries. In both of those things, if sulfuric acid didn't exist, they wouldn't work. Sulfur also exists, for example, in skincare, which I could certainly use for my acne. Sulfur for that is called topical sulfur, and it really helps manage with your acne and your skin. But you know what also helps with your skin and you being healthy? Having a good and balanced diet, which sulfur does tend to do. It can actually make you really healthy. Now, although there is no technical RDA for teenage boys like me and the people watching this, it is estimated that you should have about 950 milligrams of sulfur. That should be enough to suffice. Now, how do you really get sulfur in your diet? Well, you can have a lot of proteins, like sausages, eggs, legumes, stuff like that. Even vegetables are incredibly good for you. But say you can't eat all that stuff, or you know what, you're not getting enough. Well, you can also use supplements, like vitamins. Now, what are such vitamins? Vitamins such as thiamine, or B1, and biotin, B7, both of those help you with your digestive system and just converting your food into energy for you to use later, or for me to move my hands or speak to you guys. Now, for vitamins like thiamine, usually it costs about $13 roughly for a pack of 30 tablets that you can have once a month. So about $13 per month. And those will obviously supplement you very good. But you really want to make sure you don't have too much of a deficiency, because a deficiency can lead to diarrhea or intestinal problems. And obviously, I don't think everybody wants to just be sitting on the pot all day long, especially when they have to attend chemistry class like me. Now, what does sulfur actually do for our bodies? Well, the biggest thing that sulfur is a part of is methionine. Now, this isn't like Walter White meth, but it's something we actually can't produce. And in that, we have to get it from other protein sources, which are some of the things I listed earlier. Now, methionine is really good at protein synthesis, which is where it creates and rebuilds and renews muscle for you to grow. So if you really want to pump up and get big, you want to make sure that you have a lot of methionine, which means you need to have a lot of protein, which is good in sulfur, which makes the methionine. You see, it's all kind of like a loop, and it all comes together. And it's really, really phenomenal how it works. And just like overall helps with your body growth. Obviously, the deficiency, right, helps with or doesn't help. It actually screws up with, your stomach and your bowels and such. So, obviously, it helps with there a little bit too. And overall, sulfur, just as an element, is really good for you and really good for the planet and something we use daily. Now, lastly, I just want to say, I'm sure as a 16-year-old kid, some of the things I may say don't seem credible, right? And, well, fair. So, down in the description or the caption will be all my sources for you to read and look at. And I want to just say thank you and have a nice day.